Agree or disagree?
That is the question.
All right, Damien. It's last time this got heated, dude. I had to do a little head movement to avoid some of those strikes you were sending me. This
You
one's
better
a
pull
little
that
bit,
fire extinguisher off the wall.
yeah. This one's a little bit more chill, so we probably won't come to blows on this one. And my question this week to Damien was, set collecting is going to be an even bigger part of UFC collecting in 5 years. Damien, do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Zach, I think you're right. I think we're a little bit, more relaxed this time around. I can see us potentially aligning on this, but I agree. I do think that set collecting, even though it's not something that I particularly align with in my collecting journey, but I do know there are a lot of people who just have that set collecting itch. I mean, I've mentioned this about this before. My brother was the Pokemon collector back in the day. He has the full folder of every single card in all in a line. I was the one who was a kid kicking him in the dirt, playing with him, stuff like that. But he was only recently telling me about his son has now taken on. He's already noticed his son is 5 now. He's taken on the trait of select set collecting. He needs to
That's awesome.
complete stuff. He needs to complete things. They can't be out of order, and they need to be completed. It's not just collect 5 of them and then just be happy with that. No, he needs all 10. So when you sort of asked me this question, it made me really reflect on even having that conversation with my brother that there are just people, as I said, even though I don't understand, it's not something where I feel the need to have multiple different fighters in my collection for the same parallel, even if I appreciate the parallel. There are a plethora of people out there that are like that. And I know you're a little bit like that yourself. You find a set with a decent checklist, not too high that, you like to put in your set binder there. And I think that's great. And I think that is going to continue to grow because, as I said, as the UFC community grows, as more people come in, people cannot help but, have that collecting itch. And it's just something that people need to do. So I think as the community grows, it's naturally going to be something that increases. And it's going to be fun to see, as I said, especially when we're looking on sets from previous years past, which sets are going to
Yeah.
be the ones that are sort of taking the eye of collector. I think that's going to be a fun and interesting thing as they come into the hobby. But definitely agree with this one. What were your thoughts?
Uh, I totally agree, man. Anybody who's watched the channel knows I like to collect sets and not like even expensive sets, just like base sets I think are cool depending on the checklist and the design. But yeah, man, this kind of made me think like, why do I think, I guess the main macro for me was like, why do I think UFC collectors that's going to be a big thing comparatively to other sports? And like what I was kind of thinking of was like, despite what it seems sometimes, for me anyway, the amount of people that I think are in the UFC card collecting space that are purely in it for flipping, I think is still relatively small compared to other sports where like, Josh at the 047 Sports Cards and TCG, he's telling me like some of these people don't even really collect. They just buy and flip, and like that's kind of their main thing. But I think for our space, it's still so small, and you really can't profit that much from flipping compared to like, 6-figure cards always selling in NFL, MLB, in those sports. So I think because of that, the UFC space isn't really as lucrative as other sports, and we have a higher percentage of collectors. And also, I think a reason why set collecting is going to be more prevalent, and I think it is growing even now than like when we first got in, dude. I feel like nobody I didn't see anyone with completed sets on their Instagram or anything. That is definitely changing. And I think one of the reasons is because in our sport, we don't have teams, right? We do not have teams. We have
Yeah.
individuals. And because we have individuals, like right now at this time, there's probably 30 to 50 people that you really enjoy watching in the UFC. It's not like a team where, I just like the Chiefs and I watch football, but that's really it. That's the only people I would want to collect. With the UFC, there's 30 people right now that I would want to collect. And then in the past, there used to, 100 people that I like. So whenever I'm looking at these checklists, and I think it's kind of unique to us in our space, there's so many cool fighters that you enjoy watching. Whereas that's a little different, I think, in other sports. But yeah, man, I'm glad you agree. And I think, this is going to continue to grow. And there's going to continue to be people completing awesome sets. And also, I think there is somewhat of a decent investment with completing sets, especially if they are some of the rarer ones. Like, there's not a lot of people out there still in our space that have, you know, one that I just recently bought, 2009 E-Top set. Like, there are not a lot of those out there. And I think it's kind of a, and again, speculation, this is my opinion, but I do think that because of that, some of these sets, you know, Victoria's debut from 2009, I don't necessarily think there's going to be a lot of those. So maybe there will be potential value in the future. But what do you guys think about that one? What are your thoughts and opinions?
Let us know in the comments.